Hello and welcome to BusyWorksBeats.com. Today we continue the music theory series right here at BusyWorksBeats.com/music theory. Today we're going to focus on traditional versus new music theory. Now, does this mean we're supposed to throw away the circle of fifths, circle of fourths, scales, minor, major scales, modes, Lydian, Aeolian? No, we're not throwing out that stuff. We're just saying that there's a new approach to music theory. And the reason we have a new approach is because the way which is taught in school is confusing when you're trying to immediately start music production. For example, let me show you something. So what if I say play the first, the third, and the fifth? Now, what does that even mean? If you have no idea what a scale is, then you can't get started. And that's the biggest block in music theory, is because they teach you based on scale degrees. And when you get further and further into music theory, you'll realize, oh, we can actually step outside of a scale. So being in one scale is not a rule. And there's so many forms of determining a scale. And once you understand the higher knowledge of music theory, you realize people complicate things for no reason. So I'm going to show you one quick way to get right into music theory and the reason why this is so powerful. These are called chord codes. And the reason we use chord codes is because anybody who has no experience, no piano playing, no lessons from any teacher, didn't go to school for anything, as long as you know how to count, you can use these chord codes. They're so powerful. For example, I'm closing my eyes right now and I land on a key. That key is D sharp. So let's say you want to make a D sharp minor 9 chord. There are different chord codes for different chord types. And this is what really makes a chord. If I said make the minor 9 chord on the D minor scale, first you have to map out the D minor scale. Then you have to map out the scale degrees. Then you have to map out the chord. There's so many in-between steps that are unnecessary. Now, when you get into higher and higher music theory, of course, you're going to want to know what the scale is. Of course, you're going to want to know what the fifth and the seventh and the ninth is. We're not saying that's a bad thing. We're just saying to get started a lot quicker. For example, I can start here. The chord code for a minor 7 chord is 0, 3, 7, 10, 14. All I have to do is wherever I start, that's called a 0 point because we're not going anywhere. We're at rest. So this is 0. There's no distance. All we have to do is count up the keyboard. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11, 12, 13, 14. So now we have a minor 9 chord without knowing anything about music theory, anything about a scale, anything about anything, really. All you need to know is numbers. Now, the reason this is so powerful, because what if you get into the studio or in a session with an artist, they ask you to make a minor 9th chord and you're sitting there mapping out the scale, trying to figure out how to do it. It eats up so much unnecessary time. And this way you can figure out chords that you've never played before. So for example, I can move around the keyboard. I'm closing my eyes again. And let's say you want to make a dominant 7 chord, which is 0, 3, 7, 10. You don't have to memorize this stuff. I'm just letting you know what a dominant, I said 0, 3, 7, 10. 0, 4, 7, 10 is a dominant 7th. It's basically a major root, which is 0, 4, 7, and then a minor 7th, which is a 10. Again, no need to memorize this stuff. We have the chord codes for you. Where are we at on the keyboard? So let's say I start here at E. And I want to make a dominant 7th. So this is our 0 point, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now that's a dominant, hold up, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's go up an octave. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. It's more of a jazzy chord used for transitioning. But I'm just showing you can make these chord types. There's so much to explore. And that's the power of, this new way of approaching music theory versus the traditional learn the scale first. If the scale's like a middleman and it just gets in the way. So let's go over a couple of new reasons why you need to understand music theory this way, is because now when you get into sound design, it gets way more complex. Okay, and let's actually open up a different plugin. Where we at? Serum, Sylenth, where we at? Okay, now as we open up this plugin, let's reset this back. A new version, I didn't know that. Okay, cool. Let's open that up. Okay, menu. Now let's say you want to build a chord inside this plugin. This is why chord codes are so powerful. So I'll quickly go through this, but all we have to do now is set each voice or each oscillator to a certain pitch. So for example, I'm going to keep this at 0. The next, we're going to use a chord code. Let's do the major 7, which is 0, 4, 7, 11. Now I have to go a little quickly through this. I can't go through sound design from top to bottom. But in short, our first note is 0. So that means when I play a key, it plays that note. Now this second oscillator plays like another instrument, and I can change the note. So let's make that 4. So it's 0, 4. Now I'm hitting one key, but it's playing both notes. Okay, let's go to part B and let's activate these voices. This is why chord codes are so powerful, and you're going to need them when it comes to sound design. So this is not made up stuff. So on part B, we're going to use the note value here, 7. So it's 0, 4, 7. So we're going to go plus 7 semitones. And now every time I hit a note, it's a major chord. Now let's go to the last note and let's make this 11. Now we're going up and up and up, but it only goes to plus 7. So in short, every octave is 12. So let's go up 12 and then minus 1. So that makes 11. Now again, we go over this stuff in our our sound design series and courses at busyworksbeats.com. And this is how house chords sound so lush. It's because every note they hit is a chord, because it started by them sampling chords and transposing them. So now I'm just playing around. And now we have that house feel. And that's the technique, and that's why chord codes are so powerful. 0, 4, 7, 11 translates perfectly into the sound design realm. Now, one last thing about traditional music theory is that they don't account for modern techniques. So for example, if I want to do FM synthesis, there's no way to map the note value that we're going to create with the sound. So for example, if I use oscillator B, again, I know I'm kind of going into things that are way deeper in music production, but if I use oscillator B to control oscillator A, this is called FM synthesis. Okay, I can basically distort the waveform. Now what happens when this turns atonal, which means it doesn't have a real identifiable note? And this is how EDM stuff sounds like. So let's make this, let's give it an envelope of some sort. Let's go opposite. Now this one I'm making it sound like a note, but it's going to start out with this floppy tone. Now I'm going to extend the decay so it takes a while to get to the tone. So how do we give this sound a note? And this is modern music production, so let's make this a little more interesting. What happens when things become a little atonal or not musical? And that's why music theory doesn't account for this. This is why music theory is evolving into new forms and music production techniques. I just wanted to show you, the traditional way of going about music versus our way of showing you about music theory, because now you can create chords like these without knowing a bunch of scales and modes. Now, of course, scales and modes can take you to a cool level of composition. I'm not saying it's useless. I'm just saying it's an antiquated way of going about it. Like, for example, in music production nowadays, do you use sheet music in your DAW? Chances are you don't. Unless you're, a film score artist. And you can make these chords with simple chord codes. That's why they're so powerful. All right, so we're going to show you all this stuff right here at busyworksbeats.com. I don't want you to get overwhelmed. I just want you to understand there's a traditional way to talk about music theory and then an easier way to go about it. So thanks for watching today. It's busyworksbeats.com. And we have tons of music theory courses right at busyworksbeats.com.